never in doubt. They had that the whole way. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome in to the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. The Mariners stopped the 5-game losing skid. They defeat the Athletics tonight 3-2. They improved to 69-60 on the season. The Mariners are 2 games back in the American League West. They are currently in the 3rd wild card. They're a half game behind the Yankees for the 2nd wild card, and the Mariners are 3 games up on a playoff spot. A lot of moving parts there. Before I go any further into the recap, as always, if you can like the video, it's the most important thing. It gets the video out to more people. If you can hit subscribe, I'm 64 subs away from 5,000. We are so close. Know we're going to get there before the end of the year. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And also don't forget to leave your comments on the team and on the victory down below. Mariners come back home. They needed a win. They got to win. That's the most important thing to take away from this one. Stop the losing skid here. We see this team all the time get into these spots where they lose a couple and it just snowballs, and it seems to take forever for this team to get out of it. And by the time they do get out of it, they're sitting a game or 2 back of a playoff spot. So they've got to fight back up, you know what I mean, and win 5 out of 6. They needed to stop the bleeding here. They did. Doesn't undo the entire road trip, but it is a good day for the Mariners. Houston does win, but Kansas City loses, Cleveland loses. So if we're just talking about getting into the dance, which we want, right? I want to see the Mariners play some playoff baseball. Today was a really good day for that. Each day they can gain a game on that playoff spot as we get here to the final 33 games in the season is huge. So really is a great day overall for the Mariners. On the diamond, cannot say enough about Bryan Woo and how good he was tonight. I may have even sent him out there for the 8th inning on 88 pitches. I mean, what left to say about the guy? Another start of 6+ innings. He goes 7 today. One hits a really, really good Athletics offense, folks. This is not your, A's a few years ago where they're running out names you've never heard of. This lineup can hit, and he only gave up 1 hit. It was the Brent Rooker home run in the 1st inning, and Brent Rooker is a fantastic hitter. He's going to get you sometimes, but Woo was absolutely phenomenal. 7 strikeouts as well. Just a top-notch Cy Young level performance to grab his 11th win of the season. Yeah, I mean, I can't stress enough. This is a good A's lineup, and you'll see it, the rest of the series. I mean, just go back and look at their previous games. They crushed the ball in Minnesota. Their series early against the Astros this year. They can swing it. I don't need to name all the names, but Rooker, Kurtz, Soderstrom, Langoliers. It's a good lineup. That is such an impressive outing from Bryan Woo today. The bats come back a little bit, get the 3 long balls. Again, we want to see him mix some, doubles and base hits in there to add on. But Gino, Naylor both go deep, as does Jorge Polanco. It's the only 3 runs the Mariners score. They were getting perfectoed through 4 innings, but then Eugenio Suarez steps up, hits the big home run. Maybe got the team to take a deep breath a little bit. Naylor hits the bomb in the 7th inning, and then Polanco follows suit as well. And boy, that was a huge home run from Jorge Polanco, because that was the difference in the ball game tonight. Really good to see Gino getting hot. We talked about the last road trip. There was a lot of negatives, but there was a few positives. I talked about, I thought Bryce Miller looked okay in his first start back, and we'll see how he looks against the Padres on Monday. But Eugenio Suarez got hot on the road trip. Had a home run in Philly, had a home run against the Mets, had the game-tying double on Tuesday, another double that would have been out of Citizens Bank in any other part of that ballpark. So Gino was starting to heat up a little bit, comes home, gets the big home run today. His hardest hit home run of the year, I think his hardest hit of the year in general, 114 off the bat, just a screaming line drive down the left field line. Gino also at 98 RBIs, so closing in on 100. Great to see him get going, right? Because it was a struggle his first couple weeks. The good news is the rest of the lineup was swinging the bats okay, so it was kind of going, not unnoticed, but it wasn't needed. Now with everything kind of cooling off a little bit, it's needed, right? You brought over Eugenio Suarez for a reason, and it wasn't just to be, a good clubhouse guy. He is, but it was to produce, right? It was to give you that upgrade over Ben Williamson. And you're seeing it in the last few weeks here, last few games, I should say, from Gino. And it's going to be critical for the Mariners here to keep him going down the stretch to provide the power that he can and the offensive prowess that he can. Good to see Naylor get into one. Continues to show his power since coming over to Seattle. It's funny. It's only his 16th home run of the year. I think he's got 5 since joining the Mariners. And Naylor had a little bit of a tough road trip. Again, was dealing with the shoulder issue. So, who knows? That could have been holding him back a little bit. But, had a couple clutch hits against Baltimore. But overall, was not a great road trip for him. So good to see him come back home and get back into it with the home run. And then a nice game for Jorge Polanco. Polanco's another guy we've kind of talked about where maybe they should give Luke Raley some DH at bats and have Polanco sit a little bit and not play as much. He's been, I don't want to say like ice cold, but it feels like Polanco has been cold. And he's run hot and cold all year. I mean, started the year out looking like Aaron Judge, then looked more like, I don't know, someone that's, Sean Figgins for a couple months. So it'd be great to see him dial it back in. Gets the home run we talked about. Also had a really solid base hit, not just a little seeing eye single, but a stung base hit to center fielder that I'm sure was hit over 100 there. So good to see Polanco have a good game as well. JP added a hit, didn't lead to much, was thrown out at second. Looking back, that, could have been a pivotal run there had the Mariners, had JP been called safe, that could have helped. But technically in the end, no harm, no foul. Bullpen, Brash was solid, does give up that double to Cortez, but other than that, I thought looked really good. Talked about Brash a little bit on Wednesday. Yeah, it was Wednesday against the Phillies. That, hasn't looked as dominant maybe of late. Again, that could just be me reading too much into that Phillies series and how rough it was. But good to see Brash get a strikeout today. Like I said, Cortez gets him for the double. Mariners are able to work around that. Gabe Spire is able to strike out Nick Kurtz. And funny enough, actually in kind of a twisted way, I actually think it worked out better for the Mariners there, having Kurtz bat in the eighth, even though you don't love him up as the tying run. But if Brash gets Cortez, Kurtz leads off the ninth. Then you have a righty in Munoz. We'll talk about Munoz here in a second, facing Kurtz. And he's much more dangerous against right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching. Not saying like good thing Cortez had the double. You don't want Kurtz up as the tying run. But I think it may have actually helped the Mariners there to get Spire against Kurtz there and, in the eighth inning. So in kind of a weird way, I think the Cortez double actually helped the Mariners a little bit. Just kind of one of the many oddities of sports, right? How things can work out at times. Munoz in the ninth. Okay. Gets through it, gets a couple big strikeouts, gets the pop-up of Hernaiz, and a nice play there by Julio. Charge it comes in on it. I actually think if Cal Raleigh didn't kind of have that ball bounce off his chest a little bit, the throw kind of took a weird bounce, a short hop on Cal. Had it not done that, I actually think he could have nabbed Soderstrom at third there. He just didn't come a little bit down the line. Soderstrom was like halfway down the line. Had that gotten to Cal on a solid, just one bounce, I think he could have actually fired down to third and gotten him. May have been too risky of a throw, but I think it was possible. Listen, Rooker's line drive base hit was hit at 91. Not a blooper, but wasn't completely, like ripped. Soderstrom puts his bat out on the ball, a little slider that doesn't really break, but just hangs out on the outer half of the plate and just kind of pokes it in there. Jacob Wilson, the weird twitchy little freak, hits one of them. I'm kidding. Good player. Hits one, that 2 feet to the left, and it's a routine double play that sneaks through. I know it's looking rough for Munoz in these outings. I don't think he's pitching that poorly, though. The walk to Butler was probably his worst, batter face that inning, because it was a walk with 5 pitches that really weren't super competitive. There was 1 or 2 good pitches in there. The 4 balls were not close. There weren't anything that Butler had to spit on all that much. It was not a very competitive pitched at bat. But then, like I said, gets Blade on 3 pitches, 3 good sliders. The slider had a lot of bite to it. Looked great in that first at bat to Langoliers. The first one to Soderstrom was really good. The one he hit did kind of just float out there. I mean, it wasn't in the middle of the plate, so it wasn't anything Soderstrom could turn on and hit out of the ballpark. But I don't think he was. It felt like a little bit of a BABIP inning for Munoz. Now, had he blown the save, I don't think I'd be as calm about it. And I would love to see a nice 1, 2, 3 inning. And we're in August here going into September. So there's not a lot of time, in April, and kind of go, well, BABIP innings happen. You can't afford it now, right? Like, had they blown that save and blown this game, that would have been a crushing loss. I could sit here and say Munoz was BABIP'd, but it doesn't matter, right? Like, these games are too important now to come down to that. You've got to find a way, whether it's little bloopers falling in or bunts galore, doesn't matter. You got to win the baseball games. In April, you can kind of go, hey, what happens, shake it off. There's not a lot of shake off time anymore here with where we're at. So, 30th save for Munoz. It's hard to say, like, I think he was fine, but also want to see him better. I just like to see a nice, clean 1, 2, 3 inning there. So in terms of the standings, we'll get further into the box score here. Listen, a tough road trip for the Mariners, right? Coming home here, this is a pivotal homestand, I think, for the ball club. You got an A's team that I think is really underrated. I really like this A's team. They had that weird stretch in May where they went 1-21. Now that counts, right? We shouldn't just say, oh, eliminate that and they'd be over 500. I mean, then if you eliminate every team's worst stretch, hey, let's eliminate the road trip the Mariners just had. They'd be 67-53, right? They'd look great. So you can't just eliminate every team's worst stretch. But man, I don't know what happened to them. That's just because I like this team. The pitcher today, Morales, who is their number 4 prospect in their system, threw the ball really well. I know we're getting frustrated with it, but I will give him credit. His stuff looked good. The fastball was touching 98. Gino gets to him. And then they're able to get to the bullpen. And A's bullpen that's been really good, even with trading Mason Miller. They've got some live arms. Alvarado, who they hit a couple home runs off of with Naylor and Polanco, that dude's throwing 102. And Sterner's got pretty good numbers on the year as well. This is an underrated A's ball club. If you restarted the season today, I think their starting pitching would hold them back a little bit. But if you got Morales for a full season, Lopez on Sunday is really good. Springs isn't great, but he's been, Mariners have struggled with him mightily, but he's a perfect, back end starter. And if they weren't playing in Sacramento and playing in a major league ballpark, I do wonder kind of where they'd be at. So this is a tough series for the Mariners here. It's not just a come home and get right series. Then you got the Padres next. Kansas City's been red hot. Cleveland's cooling off now a little bit, which is good. But you want to stay 3-4 up on Kansas City. The Mariners, the nice thing with Cleveland is the Mariners swept them earlier this year. So as long as you beat them once, you're going to have the tiebreaker against them. And, the most they could gain on you is 1 game in that series. We've talked about it with Texas a little bit. It's going to be hard for Texas to catch Seattle. They don't have a series left with them, and they're behind the 8 ball, not having the tiebreaker. Cleveland's going to kind of fall in the same boat unless they sweep the Mariners in their next series. Kansas City, there's no tiebreaker yet because you've split with them 2-2. It doesn't matter what the second tiebreaker is. It's division record because you have a 3-game series with them. So you play them 7 times. So someone's going to have the tiebreaker there. And if you lose that series to them, you'll lose the tiebreaker. And we know games in Kansas City, what they've been like for this team. Last year, the 8-0 game in the first inning that the team blew. Even in 2023, when the Royals were terrible, the Mariners won 3 out of 4, but every game was just brutal to pull it out. There was comebacks galore by the Royals. And then 2022 ended up not mattering too much because we were towards the end of the year. The 11-2 game against Kansas City that the Mariners blew. So I do not want to go to Kansas City in late September 2 ahead of the Royals. Want to be 3 or 4 up on them. And that way, even if the worst thing happens, okay, you're going home then for the Rockies, right? So you feel like, okay, even though Kansas City's a game back, we feel pretty good if we sweep them and the Royals lose here, we're in good shape. You want to do it where the sweep of the Royals finishes them off, not where you need to sweep them, if that makes sense. Division, listen, frustrating that the Mariners have kind of been within a half a game. They tied Houston at one point during the road trip, but we didn't even get to celebrate that because I did the video before the Astros game ended. So we haven't even gotten to celebrate the fact the Mariners did tie Houston like a week and a half ago. They're back to 2 games back. It's frustrating because of the road trip. I will say one thing I said even back in July, get me to September, 2 games back, and I'll feel okay. So it probably is a deep breath time. You're 2 back. You still have 3 against Houston. Again, that's another one. The winner of that series wins the tiebreaker. So the division record tiebreaker doesn't matter because you're 5-5 against Houston. So whoever wins that series will get the tiebreaker, similar to Kansas City. So if you can win that series, you've got the tiebreaker, you're a game back. You just need to play 1 game better than Houston somewhere else throughout the season. So if you win this. If you lose the series, you might be screwed either way. So the tiebreaker wouldn't matter. Maybe we'll see when we get there. So yeah, frustrating that they've kind of let it go from tied to 2 back, but you still are right where you want to be. Shouldn't say right where you want to be. You want to be 20 games up, but you're still in decent shape there. What you don't want is that to get to 4 or 5 back, because then you're in a point very similar to about Kansas City, right? If you sweep them, you're still not ahead of them. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Let's go ahead and dive into the box score. I'm on the A's box score here. Bryan Woo, 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. It was the home run by Rooker. 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. I think Rooker was one of the walks as well. Just a fantastic start. Bryan Woo continues to, in an up and down year for the pitching staff, where we've seen Logan Gilbert stuff-wise look good, but not getting deep into games and hurt. Same with Kirby. Castillo's been solid, but, recently a couple rough starts. And then that 5th spot has been a mess with Bryce Miller's injury. It's been great to see Bryan Woo really stabilize this rotation. I mean, right now there's no debate, right? If the Mariners had a playoff game tomorrow, well, you couldn't have Bryan Woo pitch tomorrow, but you know what I mean, right? Let's just say there was a week off, they need a playoff series. Is there any doubt you'd have Bryan Woo pitch game 1? On the road at home, especially on the road, right? He's the only pitcher that I feel like has been solid on the road. He's the only one that was not tagged on the road trip. He's also the only one with 1 start, so be fair there. But I don't think there's any debate that Bryan Woo would be the starter. Brash was solid, the double to Cortez, I think in a weird way helped out. Spire was great in his 3rd of an inning. Man, I kind of trust Spire the most out of this bullpen. Knock on wood, that's going to come back to bite me tomorrow. And Munoz does get his 30th save, despite it not being the easiest save of all time. Offensively, the Mariners collect 5 hits. They don't walk in this game. Interesting. No walks, 3 runs, 8 strikeouts. They did have some warning track fly balls. Randy had a couple. Julio had 1. I think JP had 1 to dead center. So I think the expected batting average is actually, for a while there, the Mariners were like at 288 against Morales, where the A's were at like 150 against Woo. So I don't think it was a bad day offensively. Well, I mean, listen, they were being perfecto through 4 innings, so it wasn't a good day, but I do think there was some okay contact there. And it was good to see the team, like I said, settle in. I think the Geno home run was huge because, like I said, we've seen this team come back from these road trips, have games like this, just getting a run. And we've seen them lose this game for what I'm trying to say here. We have seen them lose this game in the past. Randy was 0 for 4, Cal 0 for 3, so was Julio 0 for 3. Anytime you can win with those guys going 0 for 10, it's a good thing. Naylor 1 for 3 with the home run. Geno 1 for 3 with the home run. Polanco probably with the best day, 2 for 3 with the single and the home run. Luke Raley was 0 for 3. Dom out, still with the hand injury. Glad to see Luke get a start. He's been kind of used, I don't know, oddly since coming back. He did look awful with 3 strikeouts, so I've been pounding the table for more Luke Raley, and then that's what he does. Listen, he needs more consistent at-bats, right? Like Luke Raley's a guy we saw last year get off to a slow start and then start getting more consistent at-bats and really take off. But I'm sure we'll see Dom back in there when he's better, hopefully soon here. Probably not this series, though, because he got 2 lefties. We'll see how the Mariners play that. I'd rather see Luke Raley, too, than Dylan Moore out there. JP 1 for 3 and Cole Young 0 for 3 overall. So, hey, when you're only going to get 5 hits and 3 of them are for extra bases, that's what you want to do, right? If you're only going to get a few hits, make them count. Series still tough, right? Nice way to start it. Springs has been trouble for the Mariners forever. The Mariners have had trouble against the lefties. We saw in Philly. I don't think they were awful, but most of the runs were against the bullpens, right, in that series. Luzardo, I think, was the only guy. And even there, they only had 1 run. Sanchez may have been tagged for a couple more with inherited runners scoring, but they have struggled against lefties. You don't have a great option in right field if Dom is out. It's, Luke Raley or Dylan Moore. Maybe Robles comes up, although I think he has to. I know he's appealing a suspension, so while he's appealing it, maybe he can play. Maybe you do that. But then if he's suspended, you got to play a man down for a week. So I think they're going to wait till September for that reason. Guys that have to step up against the lefties, because, we can debate Dylan Moore, Luke Raley, Dom Canzone, Donovan Solano. I will still maintain Garver's fine. He should be probably catching or DHing tomorrow. The guys that have got to step up when you're facing left-handed pitching aren't the Dylan Moores of the world. Geno, and he has, right? Geno's been much better the last few weeks. Need him to step up. Julio get on the board against Jeffrey Springs. Randy's in a little bit of a funk, right? Randy has not swung the bat well recently. Those are the guys you need. Those are the guys that should be crushing left-handed pitching for you. The rest of them are role guys. I'm not saying I want Dylan Moore out there. I'll be very clear on that. But if Randy's 0 for 4, Julio's 0 for 4, and Geno's 0 for 4, then who cares what Dylan Moore does, right? It's not going to matter. Those are the guys you need to get going against left-handed pitching. So Springs going to be tough tomorrow. Lopez going to be very tough on Sunday. George Kirby and Logan Gilbert have got to bounce back. That's another key. They were not good enough in their last outing, and it's not always hate saying unacceptable because it happened. We've got to accept it, but you can't have those type of starts in a pennant race here with 30 games to go. They have got to be better. George Kirby has got to be better tomorrow. It's a tough lineup, but he's got to find a way. So does Logan on Sunday. I will end it at that. Really good day for the Mariners. Not only do they get a win, which they needed just to get the deep breath back, but the teams chasing for a playoff spot all lose pretty much, except for Texas, if you still consider them in the race. And they even gain a game on the Yankees. So that'd be nice too if you could pass the Yankees or Boston. It gives you that buffer, right? That buffer can be huge. Tomorrow night, I'm not sure what time I'll have the recap up. I'm not going to get to watch the game tomorrow. We're going to the movies. My son wants to see some movie that's out, so I will not be watching the game. So it'll be kind of a weird recap tomorrow. I will do everything I can to have it up for you guys. So just be patient with me. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, and most importantly, go Mariners. Peace.